Welcome to the Seven Figure Builder Show. My name is Julie Baranek, founder of Seven Figure Builder, where we help high achieving CEOs connect the dots in their business to scale to seven figures and beyond. And I'm here today with my friend Bridgetta. Hey, Bridgetta.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me, by the way.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited to talk with you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So first and foremost, where in the world are you right now?
I am in Delray Beach, Florida. Sunny Florida, sticky and hot right now.
Yes, it is a warm time of year for sure down there.
Yes.
And for people that haven't had the pleasure to meet you yet, what is it that you do with your business? Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Sure. I am a publicist, a book coach, and PR coach.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people have thought about PR and what that means for them, but can you just tell us how does that play out for the business owner? Like, how do you actually help them?
Absolutely. Sure. I've actually been in the entertainment. I'll give you a little background on me too. I've been in the entertainment industry pretty much my whole entire life. I used to be in front of the camera. And at one point I went and I hired a publicist because I had a TV show back in 2007 on DirecTV.
Mm-hmm.
And I was all excited. Like, I hired a publicist. This is big girl pants,
Right?
I'm going to be everywhere. My dream was to kind of get into Sundance and get into all the big parties, and which I kind of did anyway. In my mind, I just was like, oh, this TV show is it. This is going to help me get a publicist will help me get more seen in the industry so that I can book bigger and better projects.
Right.
So, and that's what a publicist kind of does. It helps you get seen, get known. So whether it's a book that you have that gets more sales, or whether you're a coach that gets more clients, it creates credibility for you and your business and in your industry, whatever that may be. And so back in the day when I was like, yes, this is great. I have this publicist, this is exciting. And I asked her to get into Sundance and she said, well, I submitted you and you didn't get into anything. And I was so bummed, but I thought, well, that's interesting because I actually know everybody that puts on the big events and they wouldn't say no to me. So you just can't pitch yourself. So that's why I had her pitch me, because it looks bad. And this is a big point I still stick with. It looks bad if you submit yourself to things, unless it's it's a blog or very small quality, cool. But the bigger ones does not look okay. And there's many reasons why, and I can go into it later. So I thought, well, that's so weird. So I reached out to a few of my friends that ran it and I said, did my name come through? And they said, no, it didn't. And so I realized at that point, which is a thing that you have to be careful of. There are many publicists that say they help and they don't actually pitch you for things. And it's actually a big thing in the entertainment world. And so publicity can have a bad name sometimes because of that. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, I've had a horrible situation with a publicist in the past. They promise all these things and it doesn't happen. And I want to speak to that. It's actually a big deal. And so what I like to say is, okay, what were the promises? What were your goals? And can I take a look at your business where it's at now? Because the biggest thing is if someone comes to me and let's say you have a book that's coming out, you're a coach, you have a platform, you're going to launch something new and you have a book as an example. And then I'm going to say, awesome. And you want publicity for your new launch or your book, whatever it is. Okay, well, I'm going to take a look at your website. What does that look like? Is it all together? Is it clear and concise who you are, what you do, your messaging, your branding? Is it clear across all social media accounts? Everywhere that you're out there, is it all consistent copy, consistent branding? Are you targeting your audience correctly? Who is your audience? Do you even know who your audience is? What do they lie awake at night, worrying about? What do they do during the day? What do they normally buy? What do they listen to? All of these things are part of target market. It's really important to learn who your target market is so that your messaging really speaks to them and their problems, their issues, what they're desiring. So that's number one. And if that's a yes, okay, great. Let's move on to the next thing. Emails. Do you have an email capture? Whether it's a freebie on your site or another way to capture emails, because emails are your fan base. They are your clients. They might not be a client right now, but they follow you for a reason. They do say in marketing, it takes 7 times for someone to see something before they decide to buy. And you have to have a warm audience. And what does that mean? A warm audience is someone that you email at least twice a month. They're fresh. They're used to your emails. You're giving them advice. It's not selling constantly. It's offering them free advice. And with that advice, again, they're like, oh, I need a little bit more. I can't wait for her next email. Where's that email? And they get excited because they get to learn from you. They're watching you from afar. I can't tell you how many people have actually watched me for a few years and then come to me later for, I'm ready. I have a book now, or I have a launch, or I have a new business I'm coming out. Can you help me now? It does take time. The warm audience, the warmer your audience is, the more they know you, what you're about, what you can do for them. They've watched you, what you've done for others. They see the social proof, and then they decide when they're ready at their point in their business that they want you as their person. So that email list is so important. And you can collect it in different ways. I'd say the easiest ways are going to be your freebies. Launches actually are another fantastic way to collect emails. I know it sounds catch-22, but it's actually a really great way to build your list. And so those are the main things on the website. And then the other things I would say is, okay, do you have a team ready? What does that look like? For example, if I were to put you, the biggest question I'm going to ask you is, if I were to put you on Good Morning America or some other large show tomorrow, would you be able to handle all that comes in? Can your website handle that? Can you and your schedule handle that? Are you ready for interviews? And then that's a whole nother topic to get into, is what the interviews are like, and being a good interview and being a good speaker, and what are your call to actions? Because every interview that you go in on, I like to call it your CTAs, your call to actions. You've got to have a reason how you're bringing them back to you and your website. Again, collecting those emails. So let's say you're going on Good Morning America for your life coach and you're giving some advice. And I say this because I have a coach that I've gotten on Good Morning America 3 times, by the way. And it's always the angle too. That's another thing I'll get into later. But she got on there as a life coach. She does a lot more than that. So that's another thing. This is why it's good to have a publicist and to pitch you as well. Many reasons why. But for big shows like Good Morning America, you want someone that has that rapport with them. Your publicist has a rapport. They actually know them. They've had clients, on the show before. That's a big thing you want to ask your potential publicist, by the way, is asking them, sorry, I'm jumping subjects, but asking them to where have their clients been featured on? And it should be on their website. If it's a good publicist, they're going to be on their website. They're going to tell you, and they'll be able to name off the top, listings of who, when, and how long ago. And if they still get clients on them, that's super important, because a publicist, their job is basically the bridge between getting you and getting their clients onto these enormous shows and mass media. But again, it has to make sense for what you're pitching and selling, and so it all kind of dials in. And so also is what are your goals? What is your intention? And I like to work backwards with that. If your goal is okay, I want to be a TEDx speaker, then my approach with you is going to be way different than it's going to be for, I'm just writing a book, or I have this launch coming out, or whatever it might be. And I won't know until we get on a discovery call, if that makes sense. But your goals are huge. That's the biggest thing and most people are like, pick your goals. Yes. And get specific with what those goals are. Or is there someone that you admire? If you're like, oh, I want to be the next Tony Robbins, or I want to be the next, Gabby Bernstein. Great. Write that down. And what I challenge you with is, what is it about them that you admire, that you like, and what qualities do you want to be in them? Is it just because you want to be a household name, or is there an actual mission behind it? What is that and why? Your why is super important. That's going to be the underlying driver of the energy of what we're trying to get to. And yes, energy is everything. Because I will tell you another thing too, is if your energy is, I just want to get known and get famous, you're not going to get that far. Believe me, people come to me with that. You will not get that far. It doesn't make sense. It's just, there has to be more of a heartfelt mission. And those people that are coming from the heart, again, you can almost feel it. It's almost like, when you go to a show, or you have a salesman, and that you can feel the greediness of the salesman. They're just selling you and selling you and selling you. And you're like, this feels icky to me. That's a salesman that has an underlying, his thing is, I just need money. I need to survive. That's survival mode. Are you doing that to your clients? Or are you coming with heart and soul and really wanting to help them? And I say this because it's so important, because that energy goes into everything in your business, including the goals that you're setting for the future. And it's really important to get clear with what your goals are for the future, so that you can work backwards and really know, if you're attaining those goals, because we don't even acknowledge sometimes that we obtained a goal. Like, and if you create those big goals and then create the little goals to reach, that's what I like my clients to help see. We've created, they're like, oh, I didn't even realize I got to this goal, and then the next goal, and then the next goal. And here we are in phase 2 of the PR, phase 3, we're ready to like take off, and that's exciting. Like, let's give congratulations to yourself for hitting all those other goals. It's important to acknowledge that, because it's like, we're always on the rat race of like getting the next big thing, but we have to acknowledge all the little steps that it takes to get there, because those little steps are very crucial to having a successful campaign and a successful business. Sorry, I talked a lot. It's a long answer to that question.
No, and you hit on some amazing things that I just want to circle back to, but I love that you start with the foundation, because so often people just jump to, I need publicity, I need more visibility. But if the structure and the foundation aren't there, you're going to fall flat on your face. Like, if, to your point, if you get on Good Morning America tomorrow, do you have the structure there to support that visibility, to grow your business, to accept the request? Like, whatever comes off of that is crucial to the success. And you don't want that publicity until you have that structure in place, because otherwise, like, you put the cart before the horse and then it becomes a mess, right?
So messy. And on top of it, and I will say this, there are not many publicists that will ever tell you this. This is why I call myself a PR coach, because when someone comes in for PR and you're not ready, I won't take you as a client. Mm-hmm. Other publicists will, because again, they want the money and they're like, oh, I can just do it. I can just get you out there. And then what happens is, this is why you hear those crappy situations on quote. What happens is they weren't ready. And the publicist didn't understand that, because they don't understand the whole branding aspects or the whole form of the foundations. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to get you out there. And they don't teach this in school either. This is the school of hard knocks where I've learned all this. So, and being on both sides of the camera too, that's another reason why I know I've worn so many hats, and we'll get into that later, all the hats I've worn and why. But yeah, it's very important. So with PR coach, if someone comes to me and they're not ready, I will not take you as a client for PR. I will coach you, and I offer a whole one-on-one coaching program that's why I say PR coach. I will coach you to get ready. What does that look like? It's different for each client. It might be only a month. Maybe there's only a few small things you need. Maybe it's one session. We just need to get, your freebie right, and everything else looks great. Or I would say 9 times out of 10, it's usually like 2-3 months that there's stuff that we really need to get through. And once we nail it, of course, I want to move you to that next point, because I love that. It's more money for all of us, So of course, and the thing is too, is like once all of these little dots and T's are crossed, that's my goal, is to set you up for success. It's also my name out there as well. And so it's important to me to know that I land my clients huge things out there. And also I get feedback from the press. Like, they'll say, oh, this happened, da, da, da. Like, it's my name. I've been doing this forever. So I want to make sure that you're set up for success, because I want you successful, and your word of mouth also helps me bring in more clients in later, and I will say most of my business is all word of mouth because of that, by the way. I don't advertise or anything really. It's all word of mouth, which is great. I love it. And because I love landing my client, I literally get it's a love, like my clients, your success is my success. Like, it feels so good. Like, yes, we just landed this, and now let's creating that momentum and moving to that next thing. It's again, it's so hard to find that. And I wish they would teach this in college to all the PR people, because and there is a big difference between PR and marketing. And I will say this, people don't understand that. And I'll give a little example too, so that you got it. All right. Here's my mug, right here. Marketing is, this cup is amazing. This coffee is the best. It's the best coffee in the whole world. Oh my gosh. You've got to try my coffee. Here I am. This is my coffee, and it's so good. That's marketing. PR is, I'm a big celebrity right here, right? And just pretend for a moment. Wow. Guys, you got to try this coffee. Oh my gosh. This is the best brand in the world. It's like, and so that when someone else is talking about you and saying that it's amazing, that's publicity. When it's marketing, it's you saying it, or it's an ad, it's a billboard, basically. And yeah, of course you could have a celebrity or an influencer on your billboard marketing for you, but it's the word of mouth out there that creates the publicity buzz basically, and like gets that credibility. And again, the more times you hear it, let's say people out there hear you 7 different times, they're going to be your client, or they're going to come get interested. They're going to go to your Instagram, which is also very important, making sure that your Instagram is inconsistent, with your messaging, and that you've got new content that's not just salesy, it's offering information. That's the biggest thing on Instagram as well. I want to speak to social media because so many people try and sell versus giving information. It's important to do both, like having that great mix. I'll say one of the companies that actually do really well with that is Spiritual Gangster. If you guys have ever heard of them, you go to their Instagram at Spiritual Gangster. They are a clothing line company, but their workout, they're mostly yoga or just like fitness wear for anything. I mean, I love their company, but what's cool about it is that yes, they have salesy stuff, but in the middle, they've got the new moon, the full moon, about energy, about yoga, about, they're mixing in all these other topics that flow with the theme of their company so that every post isn't just salesy. And I will say their Instagram, their marketing with that is brilliant. It's really brilliant. It brings a ton of people in. Again, same thing, knowing your target market. Who are they? What are they wanting? But giving them that information, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. And all that foundational work that you mentioned, I think just builds your confidence, right? Because then inside, it's not like crap. If I have a ton of people flood my website, it's going to take it down and then I look like a fool. You have the confidence to say, I'm prepared. I have the structure. I have all that stuff in place and I have the skills. Now I have the connections. Now I have the visibility, and you continue to build on those successes to be able to move yourself towards the goals and the vision and what it is that you're ultimately trying to accomplish. So I think that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's talk about the hats that you've worn. So what does that journey look like? How did you get to the place where you are today?
Sure. So many, many hats. I was a dancer for a big celebrity, backstage dancer. I've been in front of the camera on many TV shows. I've also been a casting director for major TV shows like Millionaire Matchmaker. I worked for quite some time, some big shows. So been in casting. I've also worked for an A-lister for 17 years. When I worked with him, I was a tour manager. I was a publicist. I started as an assistant, like the way bottom. And I will say this too, assistants are the future. So when people start as an assistant, you want to make sure that you're super kind to everyone. And that is a big thing in the especially entertainment world, because not everyone's very kind. I can't even tell you all the stories that I have from that. But in any industry, be nice to anyone's assistant, because those are the people that will be the executives later. And you should be nice anyway, but I just want to throw that out there. And for example, too, like when a script would come in for this actor, who gets the script? Sure, the agent and the manager get it and they send it to the actor. And then the actor, what does the actor do? Toss it to the assistant, read it. So the assistant reads it and goes through, this is not all the time, but this is a lot. The assistant, believe it or not, is the one reading it. And so I would read them. And if it didn't catch my eye in the first couple of minutes, again, the title and the synopsis and the one page, it got tossed. He didn't stand a chance. He wouldn't even get to see it. It was up to me, the little people. They were the gatekeepers. So I will say assistants are the gatekeepers. They will, and this goes for even job resumes. I mean, back in the day, but if someone came in for a job and I didn't like your attitude, and this isn't just me, this is anyone, don't like the attitude, don't like the cover letter, it got tossed in the trash. It never got seen. Is that the best way? No. But does it happen all the time? Yes, it does. That's really important as well. So anyway, been an assistant, been a production assistant, been a producer, worked on I have a couple films that are out now, some big films as well. God, I've worn so many hats in the industry. So it's and even coming across where I get scripts. I worked in journalism. I've been a journalist and media. I've hosted a pretty big podcast. I don't anymore right now, but I did that for about 15 years in LA Talk Radio. It's just all the hats that I've worn, it's I constantly was getting pitches. So that's why my pitches, I know I was the hardest person to get past. I know that. And I've worked in literary. It's kind of been all over the place. And the people that I've worked with have been in all different genres, all different. So that being said, now being a publicist on this side and sending pitches out to not only mass media, but sending them out also as a book coach, sending them to publishers. I know what they want to see immediately in that publishing pitch, like immediately. And that's why our press kits and our proposals, our book proposals land and we get calls like right back because it's quick. It's to the point. Yeah, there's all this information in there that's, I call the nerd, excuse me, the nerdy information, because it's what the publishers like want to see. If it's a book proposal, they want to see all these statistics. And I teach my clients this as we go through it, but they want to know upfront, again, clear as day, almost like your website, who you are, what you do, how you help people, and how are you going to sell books?
Right.
Or if you're on media and I'm pitching to the media, who are you? How are you going to help their audience? How are you going to help their ratings go up?
Right.
Essentially the same thing, just worded differently, like whether it's helping their ratings in their show or helping sell books where they get money, both are like the end result. That's why they choose people for their show or their publishing. So anyway, that's what I love to talk about is like having those proposals or your press kits be really kick-ass. Hope I can say kick-ass, but cool. But again, it's landing the messaging and as a publicist, wearing all those hats, just like knowing what I want to see, quick to the point, right away.
Right.
And on top of it, like and you guys, I'm sure have heard this too, our attention spans have gotten shorter, even more so. You've got half a second when they're on your website, whether they're going to decide to look at more or not.
Right.
So if they actually go all the way down and subscribe to your email list or click on your freebie, you're doing good.
Right.
That's how you know your copy's good. If you're not getting that, your copy's not good. Something's missing on the site. And it might not just be the copy, it could be the organization, but something's missing.
No, and I think that's huge of having all those different perspectives from so many different angles that, you can see things differently and see where the gaps are and see it from their eyes. Like we need to look at things from other people's perspectives of the people that are receiving this, not like, this is my heart and soul. It's going to make me upset if you don't read it or, if you don't move me to the next step, but you have to look at it through their eyes of how are you helping them? How are you getting them, more ratings and all the stuff that you're doing, that's what's going to land. And when you speak to it from the other person's perspective, which is what, you obviously help with that, that's huge. And, makes it that much more impactful when it gets in front of the right eyes. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how much of success in the entertainment industry is about knowing the right people?
Almost all of it. It's almost everything, honestly. Networking is everything. And if you're not a networking person, then you definitely need a publicist. That's what I'd say. Can you get really far with now? Yes. I mean, that's what I did. And I got pretty far. And then I decided this isn't really what I wanted to do. I like being behind it where I'm at now, just because, and it's funny too. It's like, I love everything. I love so many different subjects. And back in the day, I wanted to do all those subjects. Like I could be this and I can do this and I can do this. And like, what's great now is I love all those subjects and I do what I'm best at. And all of my clients are all those different subjects. So that is
really cool.
My joy from in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome. So for people that are hearing this and thinking, God, that's where I want to be. This is, definitely where I need help. How do you help them? Like, where do you start with them? What is that process that you walk through with them?
Sure. First step is booking a call.
Right. Number one.
Yes. Number one, book a call. I do offer a free 45-minute call for people just coming in. And what I do is when we're on the call, I like to hear your goals. So have those goals kind of ready, or at least an idea in your mind. And if you don't, I can help you get there. Don't stress over it. I'll help bring it out. And I will go over your websites with you on the call. I'll give you some tips and, some ideas. And then that way you'll have some information to take back with you and work on, and if it is already, oh, great. Awesome. Then we can start,
That too.
I'm going to say 8 out of 10 times it's not ready. There's very few that are ready. And very few, but there are, it's just, but so, and don't take it to heart. Like, don't, and I don't want to say that, or I want to be clear that I'm not going to pick at you. I'm very warm and loving person. It's not going to be like, this, no, we're going to go through and, and we'll just talk about the awesome things first on your website, what works, because I do want you to know what is working and what looks great. Like that's important too. And then also what I would suggest as changes. And you can take it or leave it, because in the end, you have the final say.
Right.
And you get to decide what that is. And I will say every person out there is going to say something different, and that's another thing too, I like to talk about, even saying whether it's publicity or whether you're pitching your book or whatever it may be, all the advice you're going to get from people is going to be different. You've got to feel into what feels good for you and what makes sense for you.
Right.
But working with me, yes, these things have to be lined up in that way. So yeah, I do like a free 45-minute call, and then I give a proposal depending on what our talk is about. Like, you'll know at the end, like, this is what I suggest, and I will send you a proposal on it. And then you get to decide whether we're doing PR coaching or we're doing book coaching or we're diving right into PR. We also do branding and websites. I have a whole team for that as well. I don't specialize in that. I have a team that does that for you as well. And yeah, our agency's been around since 2007. So I've been doing this for quite some time, which is great. And I have tons of examples of, when I say, hey, here's some of my favorite websites, I give them reasons why. And it's like, take it or leave it how you want it. But these are the ones that work really well, and that these people are landing a ton of press. And this is why. So I kind of explain that to everyone. I want everyone to feel good too. Like, in that, if you are in a space where you're unsure, book a call. Like, I'd love to help you and go over with it. And I'm not I'm not going to sit there and sell you. You've got to be ready, because if you're not ready, it's also going to show in the energy of when we're pitching things. I want clients that are ready to rock, and ready to move. And I will say too, it's really fun because I've had a lot of people come to me that have an idea, and they're not even sure what it is, but they have this idea for a book or idea for a launch their company isn't even out there yet, just the idea of it. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Like, it's actually one of my favorite things. And I have a girl, it's a great case study example right now. And she came to me a couple of years ago, and maybe it was like 2 years ago actually, and said, I have this idea for a book. And I was like, okay, well, then let's work on it. And so she wrote a lot of it herself. And she's like, I'm going to take some time and write. And she did. And then we pitched it. And I had an idea already in my head who it would be great for it. We pitched it. She got the deal. We did the book proposal together, and I pitched it from there, and she got the deal. And I'd say a book deal, just so you guys know, just so you have an idea as well, book deals can take 8 months to 16 months before your book comes out, depending on that deal, just to give you an idea. So this is also, if this is part of your goals in PR, I like to talk about it, because if it is a goal, that's something you kind of want to start now, especially if you're going with a big publisher, because big publishers are 12 to 16 months. A hybrid publisher is 8 to 12 months. That's why there's a big range. So depending which one. And again, and I love explaining the 3 different ways to publish, because that's super important, and the reasons why you choose what you choose. And if one, I can go into it or not.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So the traditional way is the big publisher, the names that you guys have heard of as far as publishers. They're going to want a book proposal, and that book proposal has to be so solid, because all they care about is, are you going to sell books?
Right.
They do want a platform. So you do have to have a social media following. Your website has to be completely intact, completely great. There are ways around it. And I have some little tricks of the trade that this girl did not have anything. She had no website, refused social media. She has it now, by the way. I've held her hand and she has it now. But when she got the book deal, she didn't have it. Wow. I found a different way. I partnered her with a celebrity that I knew that was fitting for the subject, a wellness mama. And she wrote the foreword for the book. So there's ways around this, but just typically, this is what I'm going to say that the publishers want. And the publishers, like I said, it'll take a year to a year and a half for it to come out. The hybrid way is, actually, let me talk about the self-publishing. There's self-publishing. You get to do everything by yourself. You have all full control of it. You can publish it within a couple of days if you wanted, Traditional will give you a money up front to write the book. So I actually call it get paid to write your book, because you don't even need your full book. You just need 2 chapters, by the way. That's it. 2 chapters. Don't write the whole full book. In fact, I advise to not write the full book. Just write 2 chapters, because it's going to change anyway once you start talking to them. And so So then the middle is the hybrid. It's the best of both worlds. So you take self-publishing and you take the traditional and you put them together and you create a hybrid. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because out there, if you Google hybrid publishing, you're going to come up with a lot of scams and a lot of people that will take your money that are really just a self-publishing company that are getting you to pay, ridiculous amounts of money when they do nothing for you. So the hybrids that I work with are under a big publishing name. So like Simon and Schuster has their own umbrella of their hybrid. Ingram is another one that you can do. They have their own, there's many out there. So mostly every big publishing house has their own hybrid. They're the ones that you want to go with that are legit. The other ones out there, I can't speak for. And I've heard so many nightmare stories. So I generally say stay away. These ones, you have more control. You get final say of the title of the book. Whereas in traditional, you do not. The publisher gets final say of the graphics, the color of the book, the final editing. Where the middle route, the hybrid, you get final say. They'll suggest this is going to work better for sales. This color is going to look better. This, the title, the chat, whatever it might be, the layout, but you get final say in the end. That's you. You do not get money up front. However, you get around 25 to 35% back end, which is really good, because in a traditional deal, you're getting between 7 and 15% back end.
Gotcha.
So it's not, And then they actually, with the hybrid, they pay for everything up front. So you don't even have to worry about costs. They do it all.
Nice.
Again, you've got to have a book proposal that is solid and selling you. That's like the hugest thing. Of course, the self-publishing, you don't need any of that for. But the cool thing with hybrid under one of these big publisher names, you're in all the stores. So your choices are like, what do you want? Do you want to just be online? Or do you actually want to be in all the stores? Do you want to walk into a Barnes & Noble and see your book? Do you want to, do a book tour? That's where these come in. And so if that's a dream, if you've written the book, why not? That's where I say, but I why not do it? It also helps with PR to have a physical book. Can you order physical books from, Amazon? Yes, you can. I will say the downsides of the hybrid are they do want you to buy a certain amount of books. They are wholesale. Depending on your platform, it would be how many. But I would say don't get hung up on that, because if I'm working with you, we're going to pre-sell them before you got to pay it anyway. And that's a whole nother thing. Pre-sales are huge. And what that means is you get to pre-sell it 6 months before it comes out. So if your book's coming out in March, you get to put it up for pre-sale October, November, just in time for Christmas, which is going to hit all of the publicity. Because that time, by the way, for PR is the best, because there's a ton of gift guides where you can plug your book in everywhere. And that's great, because you can also get advanced praise from other influencers, celebrities we partner with. There's a lot we can do in that time. That is really awesome. And then the best time to market your book is 6 months beforehand. The minimum amount to market it will be 4 months. And I say this because some people can't afford the full 6 months. Mm-hmm. I will say, don't go less than 4 months beforehand. If you hit and the reason why, this is a big thing too, and is because magazines work 3 months ahead. So if we are working on something right now, it won't even come out till 3 or 4 months later. So then you're going to miss the boat if we don't start 4 months before. Also, it's crazy to think about it. Time moves so fast, and we want to make sure that marketing, you have plenty of time to market. Otherwise, if you've got a small runway to do that, it is complicated. You're stressed. I'm stressed. Can we do it? Yes. Have I been in situations where I've had to get something out in no time? Yes. But does it do as well? Not really, unless you're a huge name already. It's just silly. Why stress? Let's take the time to actually do it right and get in all the book clubs, because then you have time to get in the book clubs and have these people amp it up for you. Yeah. And it also ties in with what you're doing. So another thing I want to talk about is, if your goal is a TEDx talk, that has to be first, because TEDx wants to be the sole topic. You cannot have talked about it in the past. It cannot be a course you've had and then you go on TEDx. It has to be vice versa. So how I like to teach it is, if that's your goal and you want to be on TEDx, which by the way, will elevate your career from here to here immediately for paid speaking gigs, then I suggest coming up with what that topic is, then that can become a book. Then that becomes a course. But here's how we work backwards. There's like tricks to work backwards with it, because we know the book takes a year to come out. So actually we start that book here. Don't tell them. So that way the talk comes out and then your book comes out right after.
Right.
And then it becomes a course. So there's like ways to plan with the marketing aspect. And that's why I like to ask the goals with it. That's secret sauce, by the way. I just like spilled my guts on the secret sauce. So anyway.
I love it. I love it. No, and that's huge, that having that partner that knows all the ins and outs of the industry, that knows the secrets, that has the plan for you, that you don't have to figure out all those individual steps to get to your end goal. Because oftentimes if you're, eyeball deep trying to figure it out, you're going to get off course, right? You're not going to actually get to what you're trying to accomplish. So I think that's huge, having somebody that knows that.
Absolutely. And that's actually something that is huge too, is like, thank you for mentioning that as well. Have people on your team that are good at doing what they do. If, for example, I know I'm not a graphic design person. Do I still get in and do things last minute? Yes. And who gets frustrated with it? Me. I sit there and I get mad that I can't, why isn't this working? Da, 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 da. Why have that frustration when you know you've got a team member or 2 or 3 that can do it for you? And if you are just a one person show, look for someone who can help you. Go on Upwork. There's tons on there. You can just say, hey, I need someone for a little graphic design, and then pay them hourly, randomly. It doesn't have to be there on full time. Same thing with like an assistant. Let them help you. And I know it's hard for those that are A-type and your business is your baby as well. And it's so hard to let go, but you need to focus on what you do best so you can be at your best for your clients, and let others support you. You don't need to be making your doctor's call and scheduling this and scheduling that and da, 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 da. When you've got these clients you need to be present with, let someone else do that. Let a VA do that.
Right.
I know it's hard to let go at first, but once you do it, it's so relieving.
Yeah.
And then you get to be the best that you are, and everything else functions around you and with you. And then when you're off your calls, you're like, oh, wow, it was already done. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just review it and approve it.
Yeah.
And so you get to be the CEO of your own life. And that's really important, because as you expand and as you grow with Publicity, you need that support with people to help you. So that's another thing I would look at now as well.
And it actually ties in with my next question of, how do you encourage business owners to have fun in their business again? Because this is huge, right? It's like you can get so burnt out so fast when you're doing everything yourself and stuck in all the weeds all the time, right?
That's the biggest thing, is having that support team, really having that support team. I don't know where I would be without my team, I don't know where I know where I'd be doing it still, because that's me, but I would be so overwhelmed on top of it. And I'm also a single mama. So it's a lot. And I have a toddler.
Been there, girl.
She's 4. You need that support, whether it's as simple as getting a babysitter or a nanny, and making sure, because you want to make sure your home life is also organized as well, because your home life is chaos. You can bring it into the business. It's like you're not being as present with your clients, which they can read that and know that. And it's super important to make sure that this is all cleared up outside here. This is your home life. Right. That has to be cleaned up. When I say clearing the chaos, get a VA. You can find ones overseas for $8 an hour. There's really, I'm going to be honest, there's no excuse to not have one. Yeah. $8 an hour. They can just let them make the phone calls for you. Let them support you so that you can feel better and flow in your life. Mm-hmm. That's how you're going to get the fun back. What I love doing is just, I get to come on podcasts. I get to show up for my clients. I have fun with my clients. I'll say, the clients that I draw in are fun. They're awesome. We have a good time together. My clients become family in a way. We're constantly in communication with each other, and we're constantly thinking of new ideas. I tend to draw on a lot of creatives, I'd say, in some way. And I'm a creative too. So I get big, and it's fun. And and have you do what you do best, and let everyone else do what they do best. And self-care. That's going to be the biggest thing too, is really, again, coming back into what your home life is. Self-care is huge, because if your cup is not full, how can you give to everyone else? And I know it's cliche, but it's so true. So if it's a 5-minute meditation that you need to do in the morning, do it. If it's breath work, and I would say I refused it for years and I just started doing it and it's changed my life.
Wow.
It's been amazing. Do it because it resets you and grounds you for your day. And you might need it because maybe your life is chaotic out there. Who knows what your personal life is like, your relationships are like, because whatever that is out there will affect you internally, and that gets seen to your clients. And it also, I don't want to say this, but it can also create blocks like in your life.
Yeah.
So, which goes through all your business. So that being said, you take that time for you. Maybe it's a bath at night to relax just to you. You need that time for you. Take 5 minutes for you. I don't care what it is. Get outside for 5 minutes. Go look at the trees and have gratitude for how pretty they are. That's a big part. But if you do that for at least 5 minutes a day, it will change and it will shift you.
Definitely. So you've accomplished so much in your career, in your business, with your clients, with everything else. How do you define success? What does that look like for you?
Oh, that's a good one. And I will say I'm one of those that I don't give myself all the all those things I've done a lot.
Right?
And
we just rattled them off. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget. I honestly get a kick out of what my clients achieve.
Mhm.
Like their success is my success. I help them get there. We're a team together. That feels really good to me. So, and it can change daily, that feels the best to me. I know if we've got all these goals and my clients are meeting all their goals, that feels amazing to me. That feels really yummy to me. So I guess that's how I measure it. And also another way to measure it is how long your clients stay with you. If you've got constant changing of people, something's not working in your business. But if your clients have stayed with you for quite some time, congratulate yourself. That's huge.
Yeah, which is expensive, exhausting, and everything else. Like I think it's 17 times more expensive to get a new client than to just keep the ones that you have. So
It's so true. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And ask your clients, check in with them. One of the ways I'd say most coaches I know communicate on Voxer.
Mhm.
Maybe not all. If you guys haven't heard of Voxer, that's going to save your life. I feel like so much. I have all of my clients on Voxer, all of my team on Voxer. So for example, I've got a social media team with my client. I've got a website team with my client, a copy team, a graphic design thing, and then the publicity one. There's marketing and there's other ones too. But that way my client feels very supported with all the chats, that my clients can see that. And then I've got clients that just want the one-on-one, and that's great too. Set boundaries though, make sure that if you're like, it's 5:00 dinner here, you tell your clients, I will say when I have clients sign up, I let them know I have a 48-hour response time. Do I respond usually right away and within 10 minutes? Yes. I'm that person because I'm A-type and I'm like, gotta finish it. Gotta let them know that I'm here. Gotta and I will say, I do enjoy talking to my clients. I want to answer. I want to help through with whatever it might be or laugh with them or whatnot, but make sure that you do have that 48-hour response time because that gives you the weekend to just chill if you want to snap off or let them know my hours are 8 to 5 or whatever it is. Or maybe I have a client that set her Voxer times for her client twice a week between 4-hour time slots. Yeah. That's it. That's okay. You get to determine what that is. That's really important.
Yeah. And how can listeners support you in your work? Where can they find you online?
Sure. It's at Bridgetta.com, Bridgetta.com. And my Instagram is at Real Bridgetta. I had a faker once. So, and I believe my Facebook is Bridgetta as well. I think everything's Bridgetta. I believe I'm like the only Bridgetta out there. Oh, there's one girl. She's a midget.
You can tell the difference then.
She's actually called Bridgetta the midget. Yeah. So, but if you Google Bridgetta, it's mostly me anyway. But yeah, I have my website will direct you to the PR stuff anyway. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we'll have all the links below for everybody to come check out your website. I know it's under work, so you're launching some really awesome stuff with your business. So I'm super excited.
Thank you. Yeah, the current site's up there now. It's centered mostly around book coaching. There's a button to click for publicity, but next week it's all of it combined. It's just
love it.
Yeah.
Constant evolution of our brands.
Always.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Bridgetta, for being on today. This was so much fun hearing everything that you're doing in your business. It's amazing.
Thank you for having me so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you found value in this episode, please do share it. That's how people find us. And you
Yes.
can find me at sevenfigurebuilder.com and redhotleadmachine.com. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.